and welcome to Activity Quest, the podcast packed with stuff to do. In this week's episode, Adam's vanishing below London to find out about its Roman past. My name's Bex. Every week we go up and down the country on the quest for something epic, and this week, Adam's off down under. It's not Australia. He's still very much in London, but he is sinking below the floor of the city to explore its ancient past.
Hi, I'm Helen, and I run London Mithraeum Bloomberg Space.
And what is London Mithraeum?
So London Mithraeum Bloomberg Space is it's a cultural hub. It's home to a reconstructed Temple of Mithras, a Roman temple that was discovered here on the site back in the 1950s, which has been reconstructed and put back to its original position. It's home to, or houses 600 of the 14,000 Roman artefacts that were discovered on the same site, on this site, in the more recent excavations in 2012. And it's also a contemporary art space. So it's a gallery space, and we have contemporary artists who respond to the history of the site, and the artwork in here changes every 6 months.
I should say we are in basically the centre of the city of London, right outside Bank Tube Station. There is a big cathedral around the corner, St Paul's. The city of London has a really rich Roman past. It used to be called Londinium, I think. We're about to wander in. What's your favourite item from the whole collection?
So, of the 600 artefacts that we have here on show, the reason we chose 600, which is a large collection, the reason we chose 600 was because we wanted to show people, or give the impression of the size and scale of the excavation, of the 14,000 that had been originally found. And the reason I really enjoy the selection is because it is a snapshot of life in the City of London 2,000 years ago. It literally is telling you all the stories, everything about who lived there, what they were doing. There's a little pair of the soles of children's shoes, so there were children there. There's a really tiny amber amulet, which is in the shape of a gladiator helmet, which again would have been worn by a child to ward off sickness and illness. There's lots of sort of military stuff. There was evidence that there were lots of infantry and military people based in the city back then. So there's like horse decorations and standard pins. But I think my favourite things in the case, I think because they tell you the most about the stories of what was happening 2,000 years ago in the city, are the writing tablets. So we found the largest collection of wooden writing tablets ever found, over 400 fragments. And it was almost like they'd found like the city, like an office in the city. So like as we're in the heart of the City of London now, in the financial district, surrounded by banks and big companies, it was the same back then. But instead of writing emails or text messages or WhatsApps, they had these wooden writing tablets, and they would have been covered in wax. So they had a thin layer of wax, and then the Romans would have written, inscribing the messages or the letters into that wax, folded them up, and then sent them on their way. And the beauty about the tablets that we've found now is because, again, they were very good at recycling and reusing things, so they would reuse these writing tablets many times. And now when you look at the tablets and you shine light on them or you sort of manipulate them, you can actually see the indentations of where the Romans wrote. And so working with these amazing Latin scholars at Oxford University, they translated. So they pulled out, using technology and lighting and photography, they pulled out all of the messages and all of the text, and then they deciphered them all. And so in the case, we've got one of the earliest financial documents, which is very apt for being in the on the Bloomberg site, a financial organisation, which is really, it's like an IOU saying you owe me this much money for a service. And we've also, you mentioned Londinium before, the Roman, the name for London back then. And there's actually one of the writing tablets. It's the earliest written record of the use of the word Londinium. And that's very special, and that would have been attached to one of these writing tablets as they whizzed around the city, again, telling the stories of what was happening back then.
I can also see some coins, some things that I would immediately associate as very Roman, some pottery. There's a bit of a mosaic in the top right corner. What makes a place like this so special for kind of kids and families to come and explore?
For us, it's a really great way of engaging children in the history and the unique history, and so it's a way of them to be able to connect what they're learning at school or what they've heard about with physical objects. Here we have like a family pack that children take around the site, so it really helps them engage and understand what's in the case. We also use technology, so we have iPads and technology to help not just children, anybody really sort of explore the artifacts, learn about the stories behind the artifact. So it's not just an object, but it's really understanding what that object says and what that means to us now. For what? One of the things I like about when you see the artifacts now is that so many of them are like what we use right now. You know, everyone recognises them. You recognise there's like tweezers in there. There's, again, as you said, there's pottery. There's things which we still very much use today. So it's good to be able to see that connection, I think, and help engage. Yeah, so we go downstairs. So this is just the artifacts down here. So then so then as you come past the artifacts and you come back and you're going back in time now. So as you head downstairs, you're going back in time. On either sides of the staircase, you've got this beautiful stratigraphy, which is really highlighting to people as they come down that as you go downstairs, you're going through the layers of the earth. And so we've picked out certain specific historical moments that impacted London and impacted the site. And you can see here, this is the level of the ground that would be the ground level of when that would have happened. So as we go back in time, and it's really interesting, the different layers, because you'll see after the Great Fire of London, there was a really big layer, because obviously of all of the detritus and the impact of the fire that was then built on. It comes down here, and this is to the level of AD 410. So this will be the ground level for when the Romans left London and returned. And so the temple itself, which is on the lower level, downstairs again, was actually about 7 meters below our current ground level now. So it's about 2 stories down. And that's where the Roman, so when it was built in AD 240, it would have been built at that level. So we've put it back to as close as possible to its original position. We have reconstructed the temple using the original materials, so using all the original Roman materials, and we've put it back to its original position, and it's using really detailed drawings and maps and photographs and film of when it was discovered in the 1950s. An amazing company, Stone Conservation Company, recreated it very sympathetically to look as it would have been found in the 1950s. So again, we're going downstairs to the next. Thank you. Okay, so it's this is before the experience is going to start. So it goes really dark. It's very mysterious.
And so we're in basically a room. People are going to pile in just a minute to watch a show. Is that right?
So it's an immersive experience.
Okay. And just to describe kind of what's in front of us, if you were to lift sort of a building out of its foundations, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Is that right?
Yes. So it's the footprint of a building. So it's the footprint of the building. You can see the outside walls, you can see the base level walls of where it's divided up. What we wanted to do was to really help people to experience what it would have felt like to have maybe been back in the temple back 2,000 years ago. So we've created an immersive experience of sound and light and haze to try and help people feel that. So yeah, we wanted to create this a really unique, immersive experience for people to really experience history in a new and exciting way, or in a different way as well. I think different people connect with history in different ways. But I think we were trying to really sort of emote the feeling of what it would have been like to be inside here.
And so we might have just heard some chanting, some lights, to really kind of bring to life what being in the temple at the time would have been like.
Yes, and I think as well, so for example, where we've got these sort of lighting effects giving the impression of columns, the size and scale of the columns. There's sort of a more contemporary version of the size and scale of what would have been a statue. So the statue at the end there is the main iconography, or the main imagery of the cult of Mithras, or the Mithras religion, and the main imagery is of the god Mithras slaying a bull. And so there's a whole sort of story around that, a myth or a legend around that, and we've got a sort of modern version of that. And we knew the size and scale, or we thought of the size and scale, because we actually discovered the head of Mithras. We didn't discover it, sorry, it was discovered in the 1950s. So that's in the Museum of London, to see that, the original. But using that, we can then gauge this sort of contemporary version of a statue at that end. So it's using what we have, so using the original Roman materials to recreate the temple, and then using these sort of more modern elements of sound and light and technology, and to help people then imagine themselves the rest of it.
That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? You can find out more by searching for London Mithraeum Bloomberg Space. And if you're wondering how to spell Mithraeum, Mithraeum. There you go. I'm Bex, and this has been a podcast from the UK's children's radio station, Fun Kids. Listen to me on your DAB digital radio, online, on the free Fun Kids mobile app, and on your smart speaker. Just say, play Fun Kids every weekday from 4 p.m. See you soon.